Holy moly, that lag. All right. So hello. So I just watched 65. Um, so to lead with, I rated about maybe a four, around a comfy four. Um, Adam, I personally liked how Adam did his job. Um, I enjoyed it. Huh? Did they change the UI? I don't get it. So I'll just be playing this game as I talk about it, as I talk about 65. So, um, first off, I'll probably lead on with making a list of the animals that are portrayed. So, to lead by fictional species, you got the small theropod, not theropod, small carnivorous creature, and you also got the large T-Rex sized um, quadrupedal carnivore. Um, Now, I don't really have a problem with these because the way I see this movie is it's in a fictional setting. Obviously, I mean, very clear. We don't have those uh, the futuristic stuff that they have. Um, so, other than that, I think they did a pretty decent job with them. The Rexes, by the way, to be very clear, they do not walk on all fours. To make that clear, so you have nothing to worry about. Um, as for the dinosaurs, yeah, I forgot. I'm getting off topic. So you got Oviraptor. I think I saw two Dromaeosaurs. So just by coloration, I'm just gonna say Deinonychus and Velociraptor just to throw it out there. I'm not actually certain if they are actually those animals. I'm just taking a wild guess by their size. You got a pterosaur, which I think they did a pretty good job. Same thing with their Oviraptor; they did a pretty good job. I liked how they did both of those designs. T-Rex, obviously, and the two fictional quadrupedal animals. I was really kind of disappointed. I guess you did see a corpse, a body, like a dead body, in the movie. So I guess that could be it. You got some sort of unknown amphibious creature. We don't really actually see it. It's just kind of chilling, which I mean, I did like it. I was expecting like a jump scare of like, oh my god, the thing is gonna kill you or whatever. But he was just trying to survive and do his thing, which I mean I did, which is pretty neat. I didn't expect him to be mellowed out, just eating the dead passengers. So I thought that was a neat touch. Um, so other than that, we don't really see him. We don't know if he's quadrupedal, bipedal, what the deal is. All we know is it has fins, and that's it. Jesus Christ, the bits. Sorry, my neighbor is thumping upstairs, and it's really annoying. So the deal with that is my initial thought, like when I was actually like watching it live, is that it was probably just more worried about itself. Like, there's really no point in hunting the human because there's already food right here, several bodies, matter of fact. So I don't really need to get more. So I did like that touch. Other than that, you also got a very slim creature. It's not necessarily a dromaeosaur. I would say a Coelophysis. Maybe. That's a rough guesstimate. It's kind of hard to tell with their designs being very monstrous. Which, again, like I mentioned in what I thought initially, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I do like how, to some extent, the Rexes, I guess they could be considered stereotypical. I personally didn't see it. They don't really remind me of Jurassic Park. I guess they could be considered very influenced by crocodilians. Um, but other than that, I feel like it's all right. I really did like how they were designed with the black scales and all that. I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, Jesus Christ. What? What's happening? They changed the UI. Um. So I did like how they did the T-Rexes to some extent. But again, it feels like they're going with more stereotypical crocodilians and not necessarily its own design. Um, so there's that. I think they could have just hired a paleo artist to, uh, like, hey, can you make this dinosaur look really fucking wacky? We don't want accurate, we want fucking nuts. I still think that I consider this movie basically a different version of Earth with evolution taking different routes than ours. Um, fuck off. So, other than that, they did alright, honestly, with the designs overall, but it feels a little uninspired, in my opinion. Overly not a big deal. Oh, cool. Oh, cool. That's fun. So, other than that, I did like the movie to some extent. It feels like the at least the beginning part of the movie, it felt like it was going too fast. The pacing was a little too quick. That's my hot take about it. Oh, they fucked him up. So the pacing was a little too fast uh, for the movie, I think. They could have slowed it down. It feels like very fragmented. There's no actually like, okay, this guy is going to scout, then he's going to hunt, and so on and so forth. It feels very, it skips scene to scene. Like, okay, he's seeking for survivors, but uh, cutting in different scenes. Um, take that as you may, but I feel like that's a little poor form, I think. I don't like how that is. So, the design, actually the sounds. Let's get to the sounds. The sounds, I liked it, honestly. You could hear some stock sounds, not necessarily Jurassic Park related. The Rexes, I was expecting like, Jurassic Park roars and all that. You don't actually hear that. Which honestly, I'm more griped about hearing stock sounds than I do about, I don't know, designs. I don't really care about designs as long as it looks somewhat like what it's portraying. I don't have a big deal with it unless it's like uninspired or stereotypical. I don't really have a problem with it. So, take that as you may. Sorry, I didn't really organize this video, and that's on me. Oh, that's fun. So there was one scene where it's the quadrupedal creatures, where there's a bit where it had Jurassic Park Velociraptor sounds. You could hear it. It's impossible to miss it, and that's what really, in a way, got on my nerves a bit. It was a little annoying. I don't like hearing stock sound effects, especially from Jurassic Park and dinosaur movies. It feels lazy and cheap, and a bit uninspired, to be honest. Um, I personally like hearing different sounds when it comes to different movies of, I don't know, dinosaurs. Um, so that does go against I guess it counts against their grade of getting a potential higher grade. That counts against it. And yeah, that's my honest opinion about that. Other than that, though, the sounds are very different. I don't really. You get that occasional sound effect, stock sound, but you don't hear it often. So that's good. I'm glad that they're not all always picking like backpacking off of successful shows for the most part. Um, Hulk did it with their mutant dogs. You could hear the Lost World wreck sound when it was on a tree branch. You could fucking hear it. Um, so, other than that, back to like other critiques. What I do not like when it comes to horror movies is when they have the like that just sudden loud sound, like bruh, it's purposely to spook you, just to make you jump, not actually scary. It's more really fucking annoying. It happens about 3 times. I find it annoying. There's really no point to have it. It's irritating, and I consider it a flaw when it comes to movies, especially horror. Horror movies don't really like value silence in horror. Now, what do I mean by silence? I mean pure silence. Not like, okay, music tensing you up, then goes quiet, then jump scare, loud volume. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just pure silence. No build up, no nothing. Unexpected terror. I find horror movies especially don't follow this rule that they just consider everything has to be a jump scare for it to be scary. They don't actually consider it anything else, which is a bit of a bummer in my eyes. So, I'll give an example just in case there are some people who don't understand what I mean. So let's say you're walking on a sidewalk at night, right? And you got the overhead lights that are on. Then you see a figure or someone like, I don't know, from the shadows, right? He's running at you. And one by one, he goes through the spotlight, then back into darkness, into spotlight, and that's it. You don't hear any sound other than maybe wind or his footsteps. That's what I find scary, and not necessarily the music, like da 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 dun 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 dun. It does. I personally don't find it scary. I find it more annoying, and it gets in the way. It's not pure terror, and that's what I personally think is a design flaw when it comes to horror movies. Is they don't execute just silence. And there was one scene, I might be misremembering, where the Oviraptor scene, it doesn't use build up sound effects or the jump scare loud sound thing. I might be misremembering, but I think they did a really good job with the Oviraptor scene, where it makes you look around real quick, see where the trouble is, and you see some ripples. So I do like that, where it's more of, I don't know how to phrase it. I feel more scared when I don't No, with music and sound effects, you could hear it. And it's like, okay, so around this time, I could be expecting a jump scare. There's no uncertainty when it comes to jump scares. I think they did get a really good job on the Oviraptor scene. I liked it, and it looked like an Oviraptor. While retro, not a big deal. Um, yeah. I also do like how the quadrupedal creatures, I'm not going to call them dinosaurs because, well, to be fair, we don't really know what they are. We don't know their name. We don't know anything about them. I think they did a really good job with how you don't see quadrupedal creatures, especially that resemble somewhat similarly to dinosaurs, and I do like it. Maybe you got one in Primeval, but that's it. You don't actually see. It seems like it could switch between both quadrupedal and bipedal, but it's primarily quadrupedal, and I do like that little touch to it. Other than that, it just dinosaur movies feel like it's overly like, oh my god, bipedal. It feels like the same thing. There's no actual like inspiration or like creativity, and I'll give 65 credit for it being a little different from the other shows, at least when it comes to the quadrupedal animals. I thought they did a really good job with that. But other than that, it feels like, again, the movie was a little too fast. The jump scare sound effects were more annoying than like spooky. So there's so what's another one? So they did a good job on the pterosaurs. As again, you could see, okay, that's a pterosaur. I personally don't know. I don't remember all of them by heart. But I think they did a really good job with how they designed the wolf, or not the wolf. Jesus, I just killed it. How they designed the pterosaur. You can look at it, it's like, okay, that's a pterosaur right there. So there's that. I feel like it feels more of like the occasional boss fight, like phase to phase, and not so much about spontaneous. You don't see herbivores, which is kind of a bummer, because they could have done a scene like similar to how Peter Jackson's King Kong did their Ceratopsian. Of course, that scene was deleted, but making the herbivores fucking pissy for no reason, just to be pissy. I think that's a missed opportunity. I'm gonna be behind the idea that the animals are in a different realm of evolution. There is a homage to their Earth being very different, but you do see the time lapse on Earth as it transitions from dinosaurs to mammals, then to civilization and all that. So that defeats what I thought was going to be it, where it's going to be like, okay, it's just a different planet but with dinosaurs. I was expecting it's just going to be a purely different planet, not Earth. It's just a world that has dinosaurs still roaming. But it turns out it was Earth, which is like, okay. I feels like they kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit, where it's like you can't really say, well, it's a different planet, so yeah. But again, you could just as easily say, well, this world is in a different state of evolution, and that be it. So you could use that as an excuse, which, I mean, I think it works. Other than that, what's the deal with this UI? It feels different. I think the actors did a pretty good job. There's some scenes where it's like the way they dealt with dinosaurs. I don't want to directly spoil it. It felt overkill. Like there was really no fucking need for it. there was one scene involving a raptor. Um, it's a second bit where they fight a raptor, not the first time. You'll know what I mean if you watch it, where it's just I'll do a comparison. So, a rational response is, I don't know, shooting a tiger or scaring it off with gunshots or whatever. But what they did with that raptor was similar to what they did was, okay, so instead of just shooting it or scaring it off, they just they fucking nuked the tiger. That's the best way I could possibly phrase it. It was overkill. They trapped the raptor, and they could have easily just left. Easily left, no hiccups or problems. They didn't do that. After that, and like the thing is, like the scene, it zoomed in on its face. It's like, that did not stick well. I did not like that. So, in some scenes, it felt like actual animals, in a way, which is kind of odd when you see, okay, they look like giant monsters. So, to some extent, sure, but some bits, it did look similar to how animals would act, I guess. It felt natural, but a lot of, or at least the majority, seemed a very bit more monstrous and less so about, okay, survival or self-preservation. You'll see what I mean. I think there was actually in the trailer where it's like the giant creature was having its head go into the cave that they're chilling in. This is gonna be the only spoiler that I'll mention, by the way, is they could have, instead of running away after being shot in the face, it continued to go to it. And I personally didn't really like it. It's like, okay, I mean, I think of it better if you made it run away, because it made sense. Preservation, and you're kind of, being shot in the face, I wouldn't think would feel good. So, I don't know why I kept on trying to push it. Other than that, I guess this is a trope where it needs to die, where animals need to fight each other for it to be cool. But I personally feel like it'd be kind of neat to see, I don't know, a Rex, fight the quadrupedal creature. But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that'd been kind of cool. And also, the human, or Adam, pursued one of the Rexes that was fleeing after being shot several times. Which, again, goes back to the overkill. I teased it, son of a bitch. But yeah, it felt like some bits were overkill, and for just no reason. That's my only main grift with it, is that some bits are just over the top for no particular reason. Son of a bitch. So I feel like they could have done that scene different. It makes sense, I guess. You gotta make sure it dies and doesn't come back. But I feel like once you see it run away, you kind of get the idea of, okay, it doesn't want to fight anymore. And you could just have left it be. So, I don't know. Feels like that's a little bit overkill. I don't like when movies overkill, especially when it comes to animals. I know it's a make-believe story, but it feels kind of fucking lame. Kind of like the Walking Dead Shiva scene, where the tiger just dies. It sucks. Like, it doesn't feel good, especially with the raptor scene. That one really fucked it. However, I do like how they don't make the dinosaurs, or at least the Rexes, tanky. Like, they actually seem, okay, they can't withstand 2,000 body shots, or 2,000 bullet wounds, and be fine. So, at least that way, it felt like an actual animal, and not just, okay, a giant Rex that's immune to all weaponry. It could take an explosive rounds. Whoa. So I like how they, to some extent, made it more of an animal instead of just tanking beasts, which I think they do a better job than something like Jurassic Park. Sorry for this fragmented video, or I guess review. However, by an off chance, that 1.001% chance of like the production behind the movie sees this video, my only suggestion is, I don't know, redesign. Do a redesign. Maybe that's a wrong word. There are different ways of designing your dinosaurs that are not just purely crocodilian. There are different themes you could have done. I think you had a better opportunity to kind of like dodge criticism if the world was less in the realm of possibility. Like, honestly, if it wasn't Earth and, I don't know, a planet named Rocket Planet or something, you could add a little more creativity. But then again, I think I might have just misunderstood the whole Earth title or thing scene. Actually, you know what? Never mind, because the credit or before credits kind of disputes that. Honestly, they probably had a better shot of kind of being not only creative with how they design things, but less have the paleo community bitch about anything. To be fair, though, the paleo community will cry and whine about anything. If it's inaccurate, they're going to cry about it. So I can't blame you, but it does feel, in my eyes, an overplayed trope when it comes to dinosaur films. Okay, crocodilian equals dinosaur. So I think they could have done a little more speculative zoology. Get inspired by Peter Jackson's King Kong, which I think they actually did with the quadrupedal reptiles. I think they did a really good job. However, I do think they could have done things differently. Like, I don't know, have some dinosaurs that, like I said before, evolved into things that resemble more mammalian. Like, again, the Torvosaurus that has tiger-like characteristics like the stripes, fur, lips, so on, just to spice it up. Because it not only does it add in my eyes, I think speculative zoology would be kind of cool. Like, what if dinosaurs had mammalian characteristics? I can't remember the exact author, but Man After Man, or a speculative zoology book where it kind of gives an idea of some speculative what ifs of what if dinosaurs kept evolving and kept on living without the asteroid hitting. What would they look like? And the book kind of had the animals resembled mammals more, which, I mean, obviously isn't accurate, but I think it'd add a little more spice to the movie. Or not the... Actually, sure, the movie. Because, I mean, the creativity, it'd be kind of cool. Not everything has to be accurate, and not everything has to be mega monstrous that looks like a crocodile. And it feels like a lot of the time, movies, especially involving dinosaurs, don't dare stretch out of the comfort zone. Sure, I can understand the whole dinosaurs looking like mammals is a little bit a funky idea. But, I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see how that pans out. It felt like Adam's character. I saw one where they said the characters felt flat, which, I mean, to some extent, sure, but it feels like more of inner turmoil. I think with some audiences saying that, it feels like they're too used to being spoon-fed plot lines. And what do I mean by that? It feels like everything, like a lot of movies nowadays, have to tell you like what's going on all the time. They don't have confidence that the audience will interpret that information. It's always it has to be clear and it has to be described to the audience. So, I personally found them all right, but it felt like more of you need to read between the lines, and that's what I like more than just it being spoon fed on what he's feeling, like the body language, and not just purely I feel bad today. Like, no shit, you feel bad today. You're deserted on a planet away from home. Of course you're gonna feel shitty. Stop spoon feeding. No shit, you feel shitty. So, I'll probably personally rate it, the movie, a 4. In all honesty, maybe a 4, 3.9, something like that. A comfy 4 out of 10, or not out of 10, out of 5. I liked it enough. It kept me invested. And that's it, really. I'm kind of happy that it wasn't a date movie, because honestly, that's not really necessary to explain here. I originally was asking a girl out to see the movie, and she kind of flaked on me. So, I mean, fuck her, I guess, because I still watched the movie. Checkmate. Yeah. Other than that, though, I personally liked it. I could understand or see how some people don't like it. Not my issue. Again, I think they missed out an opportunity with being creative with how they design their animals. So I don't need to repeat myself several billion times for you to get the idea of where I stand when it comes to the designs that they did. So other than that, peace. Yeah.